Good morning, everybody, from Biloxi, Mississippi. This is the Gulf Hills Resort, and this is where Elvis Presley would frequent in the 50s, starting in 1956, when he visited Gulfport, Biloxi, Mississippi. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the World of Micah. Today, we're going to be traveling around the Biloxi Gulfport area of Mississippi, finding a few spots that Elvis Presley would visit. He had a girlfriend here in 1956 named June. Going to be going to June's house today. We're going to be going all over the place. If you're an Elvis fan, it's going to be fun. Now, let's take a closer look. Now, right across the street, this is Capone's. They named that because Al Capone used to frequent this place. So did James Mansfield when she stayed here in Biloxi and performed the night she passed away. She was killed in the car accident. She stayed here, I believe, when she was visiting. And I have a few photos will match up. Elvis used to stay in bungalow number 9, by the way. So this is the current front entrance, but when you come in right here on Paso Road, if you take a right and continue down, this is the actual old entrance of the Gulf Hills Resort. And I have a photograph of Elvis, and I'm curious as to where some of these photos were taken, and if this is the old entrance area over here, maybe the doorway was changed. Now, here's two things we got to pay attention to. One, if you look at the side of the building here, you see how the wood is slat that way, okay? And if you walk over here where they have kind of renovated it and changed it since Elvis would stay here, now they're horizontal. So I think the old front door used to be right here, and right here is where Elvis can be seen taking a photo with, I believe, the gentleman who ran the hotel at the time. This is just my thought on this. I don't know if this is actually where this was taken. And then here's a photo of Elvis and June together. You can see brick, you can see all kinds of stuff. I don't know if they changed, if this was the area. I believe this would have been it, especially if this is where you would walk in and check in. Why would they take this photo over here? Now, if you continue to the side, there's a photo of Elvis that I know was taken over here. Got on Google Earth. I always go on Google Earth before I visit any location, because a lot of things change, a lot of stuff gets renovated, a lot of stuff gets torn down. So I go on there and try and find as much as I can before I go to a place. On Google Earth, you can find this exact spot where I'm standing because the car drove down here. And straight ahead, you can see how the building stays level, but the ground extends down this way. I'm gonna post a photo, and I remember I also told you that the wood used to go down this way, just like it did on the original side of the building. Okay, here's Elvis standing right here. So awesome. You can see the bottom right below Elvis's pelvis. You can see where the building stays and it drops off on the bottom. They've just added a little skirt here on the bottom of this, and it seems like back in the day they had some grass, some plants, and some bricks on the ground there. But that's it right there. That's so cool. So cool. Now if you continue to the left here and venture down, that lake right there is where he would go skiing. There's photographs of Elvis skiing out here in Biloxi. He would come out here and shoot guns, ride horses. I'm going to insert a photo of him in June right now with one of the horses here. He felt like he could escape, and I don't blame him. It's definitely quiet out here besides the landscape guys, and in those days I don't think they had landscape guys like that. They definitely didn't have electric leaf blowers, I don't think, in 1956, or did they? But this is where Elvis and a few other celebrities would come and stay while they were in this area of Mississippi. I think because you got to think back then, these celebrities were I mean, they were driving themselves. Elvis, Scotty, and Bill, the Blue Moon Boys, were driving themselves. They were in Elvis's Lincoln, his white Lincoln. You know, this is pre Tom Parker, I believe. And I mean, you kind of got to get somewhere that's quiet, especially if you're Elvis. He wasn't quite the king of rock and roll yet, Elvis, but in the South, definitely the state of Mississippi, he had made a name for himself at this point, and word probably traveled very quickly that Elvis would come and stay in Biloxi. And so I know he tried to stay a few other places, and he just decided to stay here because it was very secluded. All right, now we are going to move on to another spot from this location called the Julep Room. Quick spot, but this is where Elvis and his girlfriend at the time, June, who was a local here in Biloxi, would travel to, and they would go and have some drinks. One night, apparently, she had him play piano at the Julep Room, and no one has a recording of it, but I know he was a big fan of just sitting around and playing the piano, so I do believe that is believable. So we just left the Gulf Hills Resort, and Elvis would drive down here with June. This is Aunt Jenny's catfish restaurant. And the Julep Room is right down, quote unquote, in our cellar. This is where they would go and have a few drinks and hang out and whatnot. Elvis wasn't a drinker for the most part, and a lot of the guys he associated himself with didn't drink either. So I think he just came here just to relax, you know, probably have a soda or something, and definitely smoked back then, you know. It was just a place to hang out. Now this is the interesting thing to me. I think Aunt Jenny's restaurant are the people who own the Aunt Jenny boat, and the Aunt Jenny boat is the boat that Elvis took out, one of the first charter boats he took out with his mom and dad, and June was on that. He probably would pull his car around here, and there's the entrance to the Julep Room. If those doors open, it says Julep and Room painted on the inside of that door. And right here, that's the same lake that we were looking at when we were over at the Gulf Hills Resort. So he was skiing all around here. He had some fun summers down here. And now let's go back to 1955, where on June 26th, Elvis Presley made his coastal Mississippi debut performance right here on this little patch of land. This was the Slovenian Lodge, and there is actually a marker right here, a little plaque talking about what this was. Right behind this plaque was the Slavic Lodge. It was a 13,000 square feet structure with a meeting hall accommodating 600 people, known as the Slovenian Lodge. They hosted activities including a performance by Elvis Presley on June 25th, 1955. Wow, this says June 25th. Elvis probably played 2 nights, because my research that I found online and from the official Biloxi website said June 26th. But this was destroyed 2005 by Hurricane Katrina, and it sat out here in this lot. I'm going to show you guys a newspaper article. It says, entertainers Sunday night, Elvis Presley along with his musical side tricks. Musical side tricks, I love that. Scotty Moore and Bill Black will appear in person Sunday at the Slovenian Lodge, Biloxi, 8 p.m. Followed with a dance and celebration of the new air-conditioned auditorium on the coast. Dang, Elvis and the Blue Moon Boys were getting air conditioning back then in that show. Dang, that's pretty good. I started thinking about that. You know, like 1955, you go see Elvis Presley in one of those like sock hops or something, no air conditioning in the South. Woo. But I want to say that was probably the parking lot, and the structure itself was like right here in this patch. Here's a photo of what it looked like on the inside at the concert. You can see Elvis there in the middle. Young Elvis, 1955. On Elvis's right, Scotty Moore. And on his left, Bill Black on bass. Now, in 1955, this is a significant date for Elvis in Biloxi because this performance is where he met June, his girlfriend, who he dated from 1955 to 1956. About a 2-year relationship. She wrote a great book, and there's a great documentary about her and Elvis as well. We're going to go to June's house now. I have found June's house. A few photos were taken there. This is so cool. I love doing this. I hope you guys are enjoying this. The timelines and stuff are a little, it's all 1955 and 1956, but this is where they met in 1955, and I will show you what this building looked like before it was torn down and about the time that Elvis performed here. All right, so the building was right here. This was taken in like the 80s, I believe, but you can see the street sign still there, and the fire hydrant is still in the same spot. But it was torn down in 2005, completely destroyed from Hurricane Katrina. All right, that's a wrap on the Slovenian Lodge. Now let's head over to June's house. Now, on June 27th and 28th, 1955, a few days after his Slovenian Lodge performance, he performed here at the Keesler Air Force Base at the Airmen's Club. 2 nights. All right, we have made it to June's house. This is where June lived when she dated Elvis Presley. This is pretty cool. There's a photo of June that was taken right about here. And all this in the background can be seen, not her house. So it was more about here. And the house in the background looks the same. Let's insert the photo here. Right there. There's June standing in front, or the back, of, I believe, Elvis's car at the time. There's a car in the driveway as well. Crazy that this is it. You can even see the power line, and those are the same trees, I believe, in the back. That's so cool. Okay, now this photo was taken right across from June's house. There used to be another house right here in this little vacant lot area, and there's like this shed down the street here. So I was wondering where that was, and I come to find out this house was destroyed. House is no longer here. But this right about here is where this photo was taken. You can see Elvis's 56 white Lincoln, and June propped up next to it on the side of the street here. And if you look to the left of June, you'll see a little shed. That shed is right down here if you continue to walk, because the house she was standing in front of was right here in this area. And then if you continue to walk down here, there's that shed. That's it. That's the shed in the photo. Dang, that's so cool. Right there. Still here, and the house was right here. So that was the driveway to the house, I guess. That's so crazy, right? But this was June's house right here. A lot of photos of Elvis inside June's house. Funny thing about Elvis, anytime he was in a house, he really didn't have a shirt on. And then it changed, like later on in his life, he wouldn't come down the stairs unless he was wearing a shirt and fully dressed. My, how things change, you know. But yeah, I'm not sure what was next to June's house here. But that is the house that Elvis would come and visit. And in June's book, it talks about when Elvis left, he honked twice. And that was it. I think that was the last time she saw him. She talks about it in her book. You'll have to read the book and watch her little documentary that was made about it too. Now, I did know inside the Hard Rock in Biloxi, Mississippi, they had a small collection of Elvis Presley items. So I had to go in and see for myself. I wasn't too sure if they allowed filming inside, so I thought I'd rather just take a photo and insert this at the end for all you fans out there. Inside the Hard Rock Biloxi, they do have the Elvis Presley khaki cotton army uniform Elvis wore in the Paramount Pictures film G.I. Blues in 1960. This uniform was displayed in the original Biloxi casino and retrieved from the Gulf after Hurricane Katrina, then restored. When I read that, I was like, you mean to tell me the actual costume was destroyed originally from Hurricane Katrina and they restored it? Well, I wouldn't say destroyed, but it was pretty beat up that they had to retrieve it from the Gulf after a hurricane. And then they restored it. And now it sits here for all the fans to come and enjoy. See it for yourself next time you come. Also, this was a little haunting to me. This is Elvis Presley's 1936 Gibson L5 gold inlaid tobacco sunburst guitar. When Elvis played at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York on July 20th, 1975, he dropped this guitar off for repair at Phil Patillo's shop. It was never retrieved before his death. So I'm guessing this guitar probably stayed in Long Island at Phil's shop for a while. And once Elvis passed away, I'm sure maybe he got in contact, with Elvis Presley Enterprises, or maybe someone from the estate, looking at some receipts and things like that, probably was like, wait a minute, we dropped this guitar off and Elvis never retrieved it. And maybe that's how they got it. Who knows the story on how exactly this guitar got from Phil into the Hard Rock in Biloxi, Mississippi. And it's really surprising to me that it's not at Graceland or anything, but Elvis had so many guitars, and it's a wonder that this guy even somehow got it into the hands of Biloxi where they can put it on display. Because if I was Phil, I don't know, it'd be kind of a tough choice. Do I keep it in my guitar shop on display saying that Elvis dropped this guitar off here at my store? Or do I try and put it somewhere where, others can see it? Very interesting to me. And lastly, when I saw this gun, I knew exactly what it was. This is a Remington Woodmaster rifle, model 742, serial number 177116 with an attached scope. The wooden butt is decorated with the gold initials EP, TCB, and the lightning bolt. It came from Elvis Presley's personal collection. I love that they put some photographs of Elvis in there holding the gun. I've seen this in so many archival books, so many documentaries. There's photos of him inside Graceland holding this. I believe it was around Christmas time. This to me was so cool. Elvis loved his guns. When he went out to Biloxi and stayed at the resort there, he would shoot guns. I mean, he pretty much had guns on him anywhere and everywhere he went. And the fact that they put 3 things in here from Elvis's career was super cool. He was passionate about guns, music, and the films that he made, even though some of them he wished he probably hadn't made. But thank you all for watching this episode, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, stay weird. Goodbye.